real quick, just as to introduce, Bahari is a Chingu administrator. She's one of our four administrators, but she also has another life as the sponsor and the really product owner, I guess, of the TeamForward Moonshot program. And then we have Tim DeHoff, who's been working as one of the lead developers on Team Forward. So they're here today to give us a background on, what is Team Forward and a little insight into, what they've been doing and where Team Forward is headed. So with that, Bahari, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining Hierarchy. I have two of my teammates here with me, which is amazing. So today we are going to basically introduce to you our team, go over our mission and vision of Team Forward. What are we building? What is the platform? What are some of the key features and the tech stack that we used, and some of our milestones, things that we've reached, and a little bit of what to expect. What are the next steps that we're gonna have in the near future, and do a little demo as well. And I might ask either Archie or Tim, if it's possible, maybe share the link to the website as well in the chat. That would be wonderful. And then I'm going to stop. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask myself or one of my teammates, Archie and Tim. So first off, we have a big team and we're growing, so that's really amazing. Farhad is one of the key members, one of the kind of, if you will, founding fathers of the Team Forward. We started this project together. Tim is one of our oldest team members who've been with us on the team for almost a year. He is our front-end team lead. Archie as well, who is here today, is our back-end team lead. Matt and Alex, both are front-end developers. Mehdi, our back-end developer. Myself, I work as a product manager, as well as Shanza, our product manager. Roxanne is our UX UI team lead. And this team has been together for this is the solid team for around 8 months, if not more. I think something around there. We also have new members, Layla, our UX UI designer, and Eslam, our new backend developer. And we're, if you guys are interested after the presentation, I also want to say that we are always looking for new members. We're looking for Scrum Masters. We're looking for developers, and we're also looking for data scientists. So if you're interested, contact us. I'll share more information later on. With that being said, I'm gonna continue on, and in the middle of the presentation, I'll let Archie and Tim take over to talk about our tech stack, or if you have any questions, you can ask them, and they'll quickly, they'll introduce themselves as well. What is our mission? Our mission is to empower remote and hybrid tech workers to build real-world connections that foster personal growth and professional success. Our product is really mainly for remote or hybrid tech workers, and our goal is to get them together, get them out of the screens, behind the screens, out of their home, and so that they connect with peers in their local communities or in their cities and get out there, network, and also get moving, do some activities, or whatever, or go to meetups together, conferences together, or whatever your passion is. Our vision is to connect our professionals globally through meaningful relationship and in-person interaction. Again, our focus is to bring people together in person. Our product does support some online activities as well, but our main goal is to get people out in like outside and meet in person. Some of the features of our product. So again, it's a platform for people to find one another who have share similar interests and hobbies. Some of our key features is profile matching. You can search and match with the person who is near your location and share same hobbies, outdoor or dance, or like art form in terms of art form, health, or as I mentioned, some online activities and some maybe social causes as well. You can connect with people and chat, view your profile, chat with them. You can also find events near you, sometimes online events, sometimes, again, in-person events. And you can create events yourself. This is our... Oh, what happened? Okay, this does not allow me to go to the website. I'm going to do a quick demo. So this is our landing page. Again, feel free to check it out. I've already created an account, so I won't, bore you with that. It's just a regular account creation, and then in order to find you go to the activities that you're interested. For instance, there are different activities, outdoor, some sport activities like football, basketball, ice hockey, sport activities. There are fitness and wellness, there are arts and culture, language learning, jamming session, art galleries, and online activities like virtual coffee, study buddy, pair programming, or online games. And some social activities like local breweries, meetup buddies, or environmental sustainability, charity events, and so on and so forth. We also have few communities, which some of you are familiar or part of one or two of these organizations: Chingu, Career Foundry, Code and Coffee, Free Code Camp, Mind the Product, Product BC, Scrum Bomb, and Product School. So to demonstrate, for instance, I am into cycling, running, maybe study buddy, and I want to see who in my there you go, in my location, Irvine, California, who is there. I can also set the kilometers. It's usually better to set the kilometers a little bit higher. And there I would see people in Irvine. Keep in mind, these are basically mostly we haven't launched first yet, so these are mainly our beta testers. Hopefully we'll grow and you'll have more results, more search results. So I can check their profile. visit their profile, read about them. If they have some socials this person doesn't have, they didn't added any social, but some you can add your LinkedIn profile here, and then go ahead and start chatting with them. And you can also check out the events. Again, this is very early stages, so there are not much there, but you can check out what events are there. And these are both online events. Um, so that was our basic functions. Again, you can create events. Again, I won't bore you with that, but it's a standard way of creating an event. You can also search for events, as I showed you. And now to our tech stack. So I'm going to pause for 1 second, see if anybody has any questions. No? All right, I will keep going then. So for our front end, this is our tech stack. We use Next.js, and we use Node and MongoDB. For the backend, we use TypeScript, we use Tailwind, and ShadCN. We use Jest for unit testing, and we use Posthog again for validation and testing. We use Cloudinary, Mapbox, and Postman. Again, if you have this is some of the most of the tools that we use. We obviously we use more tools, but these are some of the languages that we currently use in our project. If there are no questions, I'm gonna keep going, and probably you would have questions afterwards. All right, I'm gonna keep going now. So what's our story? Where we started? This idea started in around COVID time, September 2020, where I was participating in a product management training project, and this was just a side project that I was working on. I started doing user interviews for it, did a scrappy wireframe. I made a prototype with no-code platform, and basically just left it there. The idea, however, was really exciting to me, and it just during conversation with friends and co-workers, it would keep coming up that the familiar scenarios that you go to the meetup, you meet people, but afterwards you get to exchange LinkedIn contact, but it never goes anywhere further than that. You never actually get to meet them or learn more about them or create some sort of friendship with them. Also, a lot of times I hear from people that they're more introverts, or they're early on in their career and they want to look for networking or mentors, and they don't really know where to find them, or how to build a kind of like a more long lasting relationship than a formal mentor and mentee kind of relationship. So this idea kind of stayed with me for a couple of years, and until I joined, and I didn't really do anything about it until I joined Chingu. I participated in multiple voyages, working on different projects. And then one time I talked to Jim, and I decided that but what about, I told Jim about the idea, and I thought, what about, what do you think about this? If we can actually, first I pitched the idea to our just regular voyages. I pitched the idea, people accepted, my team accepted, and we started working on it for 2 voyages. And then I pitched the idea to Jim, and I said, well, we worked on this project for 2 voyages. What do you think if I think this project will bring value to Chingu members? And he kindly accepted, and we turned this project into a moonshot. And so we started basically our team from scratch, building our team from scratch, and obviously we had to do we kind of had to do the development from scratch as well. And then we continue on bringing new people with us. Sometimes it didn't work. They stayed for couple of months, and then they had to leave for various reasons. But as I said, I can say since the past 8 to 9 months, we have been a solid team, which has been really amazing. In December 2023, that's when Arki, who's here, our backend developer, joined us, and we made a huge refactoring on the back end and huge improvements. And then we also I may have made the dates a little bit. I might be off by a couple of months. And then in March 2024, we had our UX/UI team. Roxanne, she joined us and basically built everything on her own, single-handed. She did an amazing job. We didn't really have a design team, which you might think is crazy. After 1 year, we didn't really had a UX/UI team, but she did everything from scratch, and it's been amazing. And then in July 2024, we did a soft launch. We were able to reach our MVP, and we were able to kind of share it with Chingu members, and it's more usability tests, user interviews, receiving feedback from Chingus like yourself. And we're continue building and working on the product to make it better, less bug free, less bugs, and building on new features. What have we done so far? Some of our key milestones in terms of product development, we have, as I mentioned, we've completed the MVP. We had a release. We have so far about 160 users on board from more than 25 countries, which is really cool and amazing. But we need more people. And we've done more than 20 user interviews, usability tests, and we have started unit testing as well. And in terms of our team, we have so far we have 12 members and counting. What are we working on next? We are working on improving our user onboarding experience, scaling infrastructure for growth, working on the interactive map, and as I mentioned, implementing unit testing, Arki. And if you have any specific questions, Arki and Tim can give you more information about that. Right now we're doing the backend. It's the backend that does the unit testing. And that is a wrap. Thank you very much for your attention. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm sure you can find me on Discord. I'll add my my name here. Again, if you're interested to join our team, please message me, DM me. That's the easiest way. And we'll organize something and we'll go from there. Also, if you are, please, if you can, go ahead, check out our website. If it's not already on the chat, I will add it. Also, if it's possible, check follow our LinkedIn as well, which again I'll post it. I'll post it on the chat. And thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, please go ahead.
What's been the biggest challenge or the most difficult obstacle that you and the team have faced so far, and how did you get around it?
There are so many challenges. It's from organizing team to I can talk about the team and building the team and challenges that I face, but also I want to give a little bit of time for Archie and team maybe to introduce themselves, and they have their own set of challenges with the tech that every day they're solving issues. But maybe I'll just give one minute to Arki and Tim if they introduce themselves, and I will share some of my challenges as well.
Okay. I guess I'll go first. Hi everyone. My name is Tim D. Huff. I don't know how long I've been a Chingu member, but it's been a while. Some of the challenges that that we kind of faced that is kind of rememberable is dealing with Cloudinary. This was kind of like an issue that Archie discovered, was that kind of the images that you upload, they're not signed, so anybody can actually use, while using their widget that they provide, they can upload an image on other people's users and vice versa. So one of the ways that we devised that is just to create our own widget ourselves for our application that actually does what we wanted to do by creating signed images. Where signed images is that kind of like a token in a way for that image based on that user that has uploaded that image to our Cloudinary account. So it's very safe. So cool. Any new users don't need to worry about.
Yeah, I can go next. So, hi, I'm Arky, guys. So, I've also been, I've been a Chingu member. I think I participated in like two or three voyages before I joined TeamForward. I think, yeah, and O'Hara was saying we factored back in 2023. I think we were 1 year off. It was December of 20. No, it was I think I joined TeamForward sometime in like not May. Oh, May actually. I think it was May. But either way, the whole point is that one of the actual major challenges isn't so much technical, but more communication and collaborative based. So what I realized when I joined the team was that the back end, basically our back end infrastructure, our code, our repository, and everything was completely undocumented. So like it literally had no documentation. There wasn't a good way, like we didn't have documentation of our routes, we didn't have documentation of our functions, we didn't and we had like a rotating door or a revolving door essentially of back-end developers coming in and out, and as a result a lot of the infrastructure and code that I saw on the back end, the front end, it was kind of like a black box to the front end team. And so one of the very first things I actually started thinking about, and one of the biggest challenges was how do we basically refactor all this code in a way where like communication between the front end and back end is seamless, and on top of that, like we're not communicating about like low level things. Like what that means is like they don't have to know, like they don't have to ask me like, hey Archie, what's the schema for this, like that or like what's the model, what's the object model for this. Like they can just read that off the documentation, and therefore like when we do communicate, it becomes more of a, oh, like, hey, I found this really complicated bug, please resolve it, that type of stuff. So like we are minimizing that, like the amount of like we're minimizing the amount of time that we're like spending kind of fixing small things. And so one of the biggest challenges was finding a solution for that. So I actually thankfully, in my experience, I do have some experience with DevOps. So that means for those who don't know, it's developer operations. It's like a kind of way of approaching software and development and deployment in a way where it works for teams, instead of just a solo developer. And so I basically took the initiative to uh, basically combine a ton of tooling that we use now to essentially create this documentation automatically. So for example, we use Scalar documentation with an open API spec schema, so that they don't have to basically I don't have to tell them, hey, these are our routes and these are our functions. They just read it off something that's automatically deployed to Scalar every time that I change the schema. If I change the schema, it automatically deploys out into like a self-contained Next.js app that is accessible on the web as long as they, the front end team logs in. The other thing that we did was we actually started using something called PM workspaces. I know that was a very interesting time for us because that was actually a ton of work to refactor essentially something that was meant to work as a mono repo or monolith, right? Or sorry, not monolith, like a mono repo into a repository that actually hosts multiple projects. Kind of making it work with like a more monolithic approach where we have sub projects within the repo. And so this is what PM Workspaces does. For those, you can obviously read up on it, and I'm not going to get into too much of the technical here, but it basically allows us to use certain pieces of the backend that can be installed on the client, so that there is code level safety between like object models, object schemas, and what data is expected and what data isn't. And so like that also was a challenge, and it was definitely a ton of like reading up and research on configurations and best approaches. But yeah, like I think actually our biggest challenge, frankly, was just trying to be able to mesh the working with the front end and back end in a way that was cohesive than it used to be, because we found that oftentimes we were spending a lot of time just going back and forth about like small things that if you had documented them or you had written a test for them would have been resolved. And so yeah, I think that's been the biggest challenge, at least for like not only I think as the organization, but also like just from a back end perspective as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna add to that in terms. Oh, sorry. Yummy, if you wanna, you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question, just real quick, that I was curious about. First of all, that was actually a really great explanation that was said. I almost kind of felt like I wish that you could read out documentation to me, because it'd be a lot easier hearing it from you than having to read all of it through. So it was a very good explanation. But the question I had was in terms of when you guys were working on this project and on this application, what were some new things that you had learned, like any tools, techniques that were part of creating this application? And how did you go about learning that on your time when building it? Any like new features or anything like that, new languages, frameworks, aspects of coding, anything like that?
I'll give that to Tim to answer because he always comes up with always new tools, new technologies, and yeah. So I'll let Tim answer that.
Oh, thank you. Well, when I started onto the project, I didn't have any experience with Mapbox or geolocation or GeoJSON, how to anything about like forward geocoding and reverse geocoding. So learning that type of technology was really interesting to me. That was kind of like the major one. Some of the frameworks and architecture that I learned and dove into was kind of feature slice architecture, where you're breaking up a feature like the dashboard and creating like widgets for that would go along with that feature, and there'll be like the user components, and then creating pretty much just like isolating all the features within a project. It's kind of different from setting up like out of the box of a Next.js project. It's a little different, but it does make things a little bit easier to organize, because I don't know if you worked within the Next.js framework, it does get a little messy.
What was like your process? Like,
my process?
yeah, like because like when you're busy working on everything and you're trying to hit the deadlines and everything, and you're like, oh no, like this is something I have to learn while we're all doing and working on these things. It's a big anxiety, I think, for a lot of new devs when they're on a team and they realize they have to learn something very quickly or feel like they do, and then on the same time trying to implement everything else that they're doing and the tasks that they have to do. So what was the way that your mindset around that and your process? Did you work with other team members? Did you spend time on the side to do that and fit it in? Like, what was your process and like mindset going into having to learn something new and put it into the application?
Yeah. I would kind of research on my own to a point, and then if I got stuck anywhere, I would um, speak with someone senior on the team and ask them how to I'm having this issue. How would you resolve it, or how would you go about it? Something that's really helped me in the process is um, just kind of solve a problem, like um, try to make it very small, like break it down, keep on breaking it down until um,
Oh,
you can you have something that you know that you can do that, and then expand on it a little bit more. I think there is like a saying like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that's kind of my approach to all the problem solving I have, is like, okay, what do I know? What do I don't know? Well, let me work on what I know, and I'll hopefully stuff that I do know will be make the stuff that I don't know so small that I can easily find it in the documentation or ask the question online, because um, it's a question. If you don't know it, someone else probably does know it, and the internet has been here for a long time, that the answer is out there somewhere. It's either just being regurgitated by an AI bot or something. So
Yeah. I do want to take it a step further, and maybe this will kind of give you a little bit more clarity or like to-do steps, even in your own like thought process and guiding. So, normally I can just kind of run through like, well, how do I approach a problem? And Tim has heard me say this. I think Bahara has too. I've told the developers, on TeamForward and every developer I've worked with, the same thing. The very first thing when it comes to writing code is actually not to write code. You don't want to do that. The very first thing when you're problem solving is actually to create diagrams, research, right? So how I would approach a problem. So you're given an issue that you know nothing about. The very first thing you need to do is research. See other approaches, other like designs, others like we call this in software engineering, we call this system design. Right, like when you design a system, when you design code, when you design some type of front end UI, you have to kind of write out your logic, right? Like in a diagram. I've found that oftentimes the best way to learn quickly and still do the task at hand is that you basically create this diagram as you're doing research. For example, you're told to implement a light counter like feature. Okay, you go out, you see like other solutions that are out on the web about how other people have implemented light counters, and then you go step by step by step, right? Until you can finally see, okay, this is how I would implement a light counter. You diagram that out, like literally the flow chart of how you would do that, and now you've essentially done what Tim has said, which is you've created now this very large diagram displaying like a complicated feature, but you can now take it step by step, right? Kind of little by little as you implement it in code. I think that's like that for me has been the approach that has been really like helpful for me, like really leveraging, visualizing the problem first, right? Understand all the scope and requirements of that problem, and then writing code once you have it visualized. Because when you do that, you learn the underlying tools and technologies that you need to use, and you learn the concepts behind it. And at the same time, like when you're ready to code, like you just have to do like what Tim says, do some Google searches on the syntax, and kind of reach the approach of that problem. So I would say like, if you want to like maybe add some of that process that I just explained like into your own way of kind of approaching these problems, I think it would be very, very helpful. I found that it works really well for me, and I'm able to develop things pretty fast.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all that. That was really helpful.
And I want to add a couple of things to what Tim, on the same line of what Tim and Arki mentioned. One thing regarding Tim's approach of how you eat an elephant one piece at a time, is that because you said how do you build it with that stress of learning something and having to um, presented on time. And I think in our team, not being perfectionist and sharing your progress, it has been very, very helpful, because do your research. Like that's what our team members did. They did their research. They started working on something, and they shared what is not working properly. It's buggy, but at least there is something they were able to show, and they were saying, this is what I've learned, this is what I've done, and this is what I need to still figure out. And this is what we shared in the meetings and stand-ups in retrospective, and that's where we would get help and maybe set up a knowledge sharing or pair programming or whatnot, just to get the support and learn together, and find the support that you need in the team. So again, share your progress. Doesn't matter how little or how large it is. Just share it. It's a learning progress for everybody. And something I want to go back to the question that Jim asked about what was some of the challenges, and for me and the team, one of the challenges was I don't want to call it communication, but more like dependencies. I think we had a great communication, but you can still have a great communication and still miscommunicate. There was sometimes, the dependencies. Work has been assigned to people, but the front end had to wait for the back end, and not really understanding, me not being very technical and not really understanding the dependencies well, would hinder our progress and developers' time, and would create frustration. And really, by as Arki mentioned, by having a system design that he created and built, we were able to improve that. I won't say it's 100% perfect, but again, it's a work in progress. We were able to improve upon that, finding out who is doing who what should be tackled first, and next, and second, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to add on to what Arki and Tim said.
Cool. Thank you.
Well
Thank
said.
you. What questions does anyone else have about the project? It's a quiet group today.
What system do you use for your backlog? Just curious on that one. Like for moving team tickets and all that.
Oh, we use GitHub's projects. GitHub just introduced a way to add subtasks to your issues. So we've been working with that on creating our user stories and then going and creating tasks off of those user stories. So they're connected stuff. And it's been
Would you
very
say that's
useful.
better than using Trello? Like easier?
I think GitHub is projects is a little bit easier than using other things like Jira or ClickUp.
I will say that I've worked with both Jira and GitHub Project Board. I do find Jira a little easier, but I also know GitHub Project is free. That's really like the biggest, but also the only biggest limitation that I found with GitHub projects was the ability to link issues together, which has now been resolved in the past month because GitHub just released their sub issue feature that has been being asked for since 2017. You can actually find the thread. They just released the product like now, a month, like literally a month ago. And so with that, you now have a functionality similar to what used to be the selling point of Jira, which is like I can link issues and epics together. And so GitHub projects, I think now, if you're starting out and it's not like a complicated project that like is like corporate or anything like that, I think GitHub projects will fit most projects' needs now, as it looks like now. It's also free.
Yeah, to that I will also. I just want to say that I think I've used Trello, GitHub, ClickUp, Jira. I think GitHub is somewhere in between. It's not as simple as, I mean, it's a little bit more sophisticated than Trello, but a little bit, I think, easier or less sophisticated than Jira and ClickUp. One thing as from the standpoint of Scrum Master is that something that we're missing at GitHub project is burn down and burn up charts. I believe you can create that for public repo, but not for a private repo. Again, at least it's not free. If you pay for it, you probably can use that. Go ahead, Koryami. You wanted to something?
Oh no, I was actually just gonna thank everyone for those answers before, but also thank you as well for your answer too.
Oh, no worries.
I think Dan said he had a question in the comments too. I don't know if he wants to cover that.
Yeah, I see it. It's a question about our state management system that we use and how we handle requirements that are needed from different components and stuff. It's about our feature slicer architecture. What we use for state management is to communicate with like the server and stuff is React query or TanStack query as it is called now. That way we can call the API and can have kind of the information stashed a little bit and cached. And for communicate for state management on the client side, we use another package or another state manager called Zutan. So it's handling the filtering that you saw earlier that was demoed for users. That way there won't be like a lot of repeated calls back and forth. So what's good about TanStack is that you can kind of create like an API layer, and you can kind of have mutation keys, query keys, and queries, and all that stuff, and that will take care of the communication with the server. And it will also become like an API layer. Some in system design and software development, you have a different layers. Like you'll have like a presentation layer, API, and security and stuff like that. So just kind of breaking everything down into different layers. So
You said its name was Curry, Curry.
Yeah, React Query.
Okay.
Sorry, can't say it right now.
I actually thought you said curry too. I was like, wait a second.
So
yeah, it's not Curry.
Oh, not Curry. Well, I was curious if it's based on, if it's using in some way the JavaScript Curry feature in the JavaScript language.
I'm
Currying.
not really sure. But yeah, it's TanStack.
Oh, query. I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
query. Yeah,
Sorry, my bad.
No, it's a hard word to say. But yeah, that has been really helpful on managing our state. We tried to go creating Redux, but it was kind of a little too big for us, and it was taking kind of some of our time away where we were waiting for the states to be created. That going like Zutan was a lot quicker and easier to mess with. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. One thing that was like really interesting that we used to communicate with like the server side was what Arki was mentioning earlier, was the different packages that are in our PM workspace. Those are kind of what we use for our types and our Zod validation that we use for our forms and stuff. So that was really interesting to work with. The way that works is instead of using like creating a package and uploading it to npm or yarn and having the front end team bring it down, it's used through GitHub. So GitHub allows you to create, like, I guess you can call them private packages that only the client or only for right now only the client can use. So we can bring that in, and that way it will keep the client and the server, their types, in sync. One thing that I guess, like, you're gonna be saying types and stuff, is that both the server and the client is written in TypeScript. It kind of makes the whole site and server backend and client type safe. So if something is a number, we know it will become a number, so we don't have to do like a check or anything like that. TypeScript will do that for us, and it's been very helpful and also challenging in some ways. Learning the different ways to use TypeScript and like making sure all the types are correct and being useful and stuff.
How important is TypeScript still today? Would you say there's a lot of weight on it? They don't often teach it as much, I don't think, anymore. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I know that it's a requirement. I think I saw on LinkedIn as well. There was a post saying that that is often in a lot of job descriptions as well. Would you say it's still very important to learn and have under your belt for skills?
I would say, since, like, with the updates that it's been having nowadays, like, I don't know if anybody's following the news with like Node.js and stuff, is that it can handle TypeScript. It's pretty much all it is just like, it's a kind of like a wrapper of JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, become like a little bit easier to understand. You don't have to. It'll be something like piggybacking off of JavaScript. Some of the other languages, like believe Java and maybe C Sharp, they have their own. They use types, so it's kind of making JavaScript be on the same level as those programming languages. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can probably speak more about that. So like as far as like popularity of TypeScript,
Mhm.
as of right now, as Reema's probably aware, JavaScript is obviously not a type safe language, it's a dynamic language. And so TypeScript was created by Microsoft to solve that. And so as of today, I think a lot of jobs still actually use that as a requirement. However, if you are hearing about it losing popularity, it's probably related to the fact that in 2022, the team responsible for JavaScript actually released
yeah.
a specification that is being introduced to actually build types natively into JavaScript, thereby making JavaScript work a little bit like Python, where it's dynamic if you want it to be, and type safe if you don't want it to be. It doesn't mean that the language is necessarily changing. These types, if you actually read the specification, these types are actually being introduced in like the comments like section of JavaScript. Like you can like do like, I think, double at signs or something. Like you can read the spec if you want, but it isn't released yet. The spec changes are always, like we might not see this until like 5-6 years down the line. So until that day comes, I think TypeScript will still be very important to learn, and especially because a lot of code bases in the real world have already been built with TypeScript, and refactoring all that would be a massive pain in the butt. So, like that, I think it's still very important, but I would keep an eye out because there has been talks to build types natively into JavaScript, and it has been introduced in the ECMA spec in
If
2022.
I may be wrong on this, but I believe when I read that, it's been some time ago that they were piggybacking on JS doc of all things for
Yeah, I did hear about
Yeah,
that too, that they were
and that's why
suggesting
it's like
going that
kind
route.
of that's why it's like kind of like
like
shaky
a
in the
bag
water
on
right
the
now.
side of JavaScript.
Yes, exactly. So that's why like I would keep your eye out for it in case, but I doubt like TypeScript is going to be very much a thing for many years. I think
Mhm.
still.
Okay, I think there was like a Jim, I wasn't sure, but I think you posted up a Scrimba course for that at one point or something like that as well. I
Yes,
don't know if it was,
I think Scrimba has a course on TypeScript.
I wasn't
They
sure if
did
it's
take
free
it
or not.
away
So
because it wasn't like how you do how you show like the errors and stuff. If you write in TypeScript, you'll have like a squiggly line saying, "Hey, this is saying it's not part of a definition or something or a type." Um, that wasn't being presented in their I guess on what are they called? I guess in their windows on their sites when you do their tutorials, it would have to be like you copy and paste it to like maybe TypeScript Playground to see what errors are popping up. That was something like they really didn't want to be. They want you to like kind of stay in that ecosystem. So they did take it away, but I think it's brought back now that
Mhm.
they have Scrimba 2.0. So
Yeah, it's back now, and I took it in I don't know 3 weeks ago, and I believe they're coming out with a follow-up course as well, like a not so much a version two, but uh, a more detailed course on TypeScript because the one they have now is really just an overview.
mhm. Yeah, there is a guy. I think his name is Matt Pollock. He's really good about showing the tricks and all that stuff about using TypeScript. I think he's mostly on LinkedIn.
one other question I had was, do you guys have a amount of users that you want to have using the platform, like a projected goal of some kind on how many people you guys want to see on the site and like user members?
Yeah, we're looking at short term. We are looking at 2,000 members in the next 6 months. That's our short term goal.
Oh, amazing. Awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully, if we can, yeah, definitely we'll. Don't have the stats in front of me. But our basically our total serviceable population is basically any person working in tech who is working remotely or in hybrid environment. That's really our target audience. But we don't want to really get over ourselves. We're still trying to figure out the perfect market fit. So, and for that, yeah, we're gonna for now we're looking at 2K. I think that would be a decent number since it is global platform and basically it will you need a decent number of users in order to find basically to find people around you or in your area. I do have to say that obviously most of our users are in United States and also in Germany and some parts of Europe.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking was since I was active on LinkedIn and been active on there and posting resources, I've had a few people DM me for Zoom calls, and they were looking for advice on industry, how approach to get into the industry, and a lot of them seemed to be either it was me, they wanted me to test a product they had made, or ask questions about like the industry in general, how you would approach networking and things like that. And some of them have come from very small towns where you would have to drive to meet most everyone. I'm in a city, so there's a lot of people here, and I guess it wouldn't often even fit a lot of your goals for a site. But I do know that some of them, they come from they're in a college, they come from a small college town. There's not a whole lot of people, so it mostly would be remote or hybrid, but since it's so low in population, they would definitely need people to, and I thought about directing them and showing them this site with Team Forward, and so that, they could find more people. Because I do know well, I think once lived in a small town, I know how difficult it can be to try to expand your network out, and find people who might be a town over from you without having to just randomly meet them in a coffee shop by accident.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that would be really great. Thank you for bringing that up. And that's something that I'm dealing with myself. I'm in a small town. I'm near a populated city, but I am in a small town, and it's since starting this I mean, Chingu has over 6,000 use subscribers, basically. Not everybody is active, but there is over 6,000 people on our Discord. And I was always curious. Oh, there you go, 9,000. It grows rapidly. Last time I checked, it was 6,000. Oh my God. But yeah, and I was always wondering, where is there anybody in Chingu that is closer to my area or in the city that I am. I'm in West Coast Canada, Vancouver, Victoria, which is a city and island. So again, yeah, and I found out some people, some of them are actually in the bigger city, but still close enough. Whenever I go to visit, now I know that who I found a couple of people in Chingu that are relatively close to me. But yeah, as you said, it would be cool to find like-minded people in, especially if you're in a I think whether you're in a small city or a neighborhood or a town or remote place, or even if you're in a more rural and place, it's still or more urban, you still it would be cool to connect with people who share some same interests and hobbies as you.
And if anyone has any suggestions or like features that they would, like to see implemented on the application, feel free to share. Like whether message Bahara, Tim or me. We're totally down to hear it and kind of see where it could be integrated in the application.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Arki. So if you it's a little incentive that we're trying to work out. It's not completed yet, but we do want to, for those of you, again, as I said, we're in a beta phase. If you join the platform, complete your profile, get a little badge. When you complete your profile, then we'll give you a kind of complimentary premium account so you can check out other features, the create your event features, and also we would same thing if you participate or if you message us, come up with feedback, new features, or your review, or participate in our usability test or user interviews. Again, we would really appreciate, because this is a platform for you, and we really want to hear what you guys need, what you guys want, and what you guys envision using this platform for. So yeah, that would be really appreciated. Feel free to, again, contact us, pin us. I think you can. There you go. Yeah. That's our email address. And also you can pin any of us.
Cool. Thanks, Bahari. And Tim and Arki as well. So if there's are there any other questions before we start to wrap this one up? It's been a great conversation, actually. It's taken us in a lot of different directions, and it's been a lot of fun. So yeah, so let's wrap up. Thank you all. Thanks again. Thank you, TeamForward team, and you've done a great, a huge amount of work in a short period of time. I know it's been very complex, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the coming months. And then thanks to everyone who attended and for all your questions and comments and whatnot. That's very helpful as well, and very interesting. So
Yeah, very appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jim, for allowing us to participate, to have this session. I wanted to give a huge shout out to my team members, Arki, Tim, for being here, and my whole team. It's been an amazing experience working with team every day that I go. I have our meetings, is my time, morning time, pretty early, and I'm excited. Such an amazing, supportive team. We all went through different times. We've been through different things in lives, but this team is amazing. Thank you so much, Arki, Tim. And thank you so much, everybody, for participating today and asking questions. Very exciting. I really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you for your time, and thanks for your attention.
cool. Thanks, everyone. And our next roundtable or spotlight will be on Saturday. We're going to talk about communication. And we have a guest speaker, another Chingu, Lisa Rexroad, who's going to be presenting that. And with that, we'll close this one out. So thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.